All right, this is what the SPY looked like after Wednesday's close. You had the gap up and a fairly narrow range, which often occurs after you get a pretty good size range, which we did. And remember, it's also the low volume, post Easter week, so it's pretty dead and choppy. And you can see how low the volume is compared to recently. So you're not going to get, or don't try to get rich this week. Take it smaller and be patient on your entries. So here's what I have to watch for. Tomorrow. I want to watch TMST again. I liked the gap up today over the last few days high, but then it didn't really get going. But I do like it a lot over today's high, which is over 943. So 944 potential trigger price, assuming these are continuing. You can see X starting to push up higher again. AKS holding up pretty well. Nucor, NUE, nice little break out of this week-long range. So if the steals continue again, I still like TMST. I like this setup a lot. If it gets over today's high, 940, if it gets to 944, you look to the left, there's just nothing in the way except this recent high of 987 and then this high back here of 1029. So this gets through 943 on Thursday. I could see a push through 10, 210 and maybe through 10 and, make another 50 cents or a dollar if this can get through 10. So it's a nice mover when it does get going. All right, lumber liquidators, I'm gonna put this back on watch. It's just in a range for 4 days now. If it breaks today's high of 1327, I might take a long there, depending on the overall market. Weight Watchers again makes the watch list. Today it didn't really give any kind of setup. It did give this volume spike that I alerted in the chat room right here. I told people that you could take it on this candle here with a stop below this candle. That's what we call a Tokyo play in chat. And the assumption is, let me try that again. The assumption is that, hey, this volume, look at that big spike there, is that there's probably news, and you still have the high of day above as another potential catalyst. So anyone that took it on this candle with a stop at 1417, it held. The first pullback would have even been a better entry, obviously. And it went to 1462, then you had a lower high. So you can kind of picture, I'm going to just draw it here. You can picture a trend line. And Weight Watchers is a pretty nice mover when it does get moving. So I like this over this trend line. I really need to see a clear 1460, and then we might take out today's high. It has, let's get that line. I don't know why when I go back to the daily it makes that weird. It has been kind of grinding higher for a few days, so that makes me like it a little bit less, but I think it's worth having on a chart still. CPXX was on bounce watch today. It did give a nice bounce. I never did take a trade in this one, but it closed at its high, so a really nice bounce off the 8-day. Watching for a follow-through bounce on that tomorrow. ALDR, I actually like this setup. The 15 million shares and then a couple days lower on declining volume. This is a pretty good setup for a turn back higher tomorrow, only with a proper intraday setup. ACAD came out of its halt, I think, in after hours yesterday, and then and then gapped up today, but sold off all day. Really big volume. I want to watch that for a turn back up, possibly tomorrow. And then MDVN, there's nothing really interesting here. Closed at 37.39, but as I was looking at charts and after hours, I saw this thing spike into 44, which is about where the 200-day is. And as I'm talking right now, and it's about 35 minutes after the closing bell, it's trading at 41.30. So let's see, today's high was 40.58. So it's trading up somewhere right about where my cursor is there. So I don't know what the news was, but that just lands it on my watch list, potential gap play in the morning. And that's it. I couldn't find very much. And again, I think it's because of the low volume action in the market. So I'm going to leave it at that, and we'll be stocking some gap plays in the morning in addition to this list. All right. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.